Hello everyone. Today we are going to be discussing a recent case, something that's really heartbreaking and sad, and I unfortunately haven't seen very many other people talking about it. It has had some media coverage, but not a ton of coverage on YouTube, so I wanted to make a video just to raise awareness for this case because it is very important. And today we're going to be talking about the case of 8-year-old Thomas Valva. And before we jump into our case, don't forget to hit that subscription button down below to be alerted every time I post a new true crime case, as well as a follow-up to this case when we have more information. On January 17, 2020, the Long Island Police Department received a phone call at around 9:40 a.m. that a young boy fell in the driveway while running out for the school bus.
Do you need the police?
I need ambulance immediately. My son's not breathing.
Okay, stay on the line. Your son, who's not breathing, how old is he? How old is he?
8.
8?
Yes. He fell down. He banged his head.
Okay.
He's okay.
Okay.
Took him. I gave him a shower to try and help him out a little bit. Stop breathing.
But
Okay.
when police arrived at the home, the boy, whose name is Thomas Valva, was not in the driveway. He was instead inside of the home in the basement. His father was giving him CPR when the paramedics took over. Thomas was then rushed to a Long Island hospital where his temperature was 76 degrees, which is 20 degrees lower than what our normal temperatures should run. Thomas was pronounced dead before medical staff could even tend to him. His father, Michael Valva, who was an officer on the NYPD, lived in the home with his girlfriend, Angela Pollina. The couple had 6 children in the household. Michael's children were Thomas, who was 8, and 2 other boys who were 6 and 10. Angela had a 6-year-old and 2 twin 11-year-old girls. So the police were suspicious of Michael and Angela immediately. Of course, in any cases that a child may die, they always look at the caretakers, the parents, whoever is watching after the child first, because unfortunately, it is often that person who contributes to the child's death. So they were looking at Michael and Angela right away, and the coroner actually determined that Thomas's cause of death was homicide, with a major contributor being hypothermia. And they did not buy this story that Thomas just fell out in the driveway and he tripped and got hurt this way and wasn't breathing, because the other injuries that were sustained on his body besides just passing away from hypothermia were not consistent with a fall outside. They were consistent with being hit, blunt force trauma, other injuries that would be sustained by another person and not tripping and falling like outside on the concrete. So the police were looking at them immediately, and they were arrested within the week. I believe they were arrested on January 24th, so it would have been like the following week, and they maintained their innocence, but they were arrested rather quickly. So I do think it's really important to discuss cases like this that involve police officers, because as we know, just by the civil unrest that we've had for the past few years with like the Black Lives Matter movement and George Floyd and other people who've been killed unjustly by the police, I do feel that we need to have these conversations, because if Michael received mental health evaluations every year and some sort of mental health check, maybe had to see like a therapist once a year to evaluate their behaviors, I do think that we would have caught his bad behavior, and we would have caught that he was mentally unwell or overly violent, and this may have helped Thomas. But because police officers stick up for each other often and they don't hold each other accountable or say anything if a police officer is overly violent, they oftentimes are like really overlooked, and they can be overly violent to maybe people they're apprehending or somebody that they pull over, and even their own families. So I do feel that it's so important in these cases that we actually talk about this stuff, because not only I couldn't find much information about like Michael at his job and like what he's been accused for, if anything, at his actual position in the NYPD, but what he did to his child, I'm quite sure that he treated people he arrested badly, people he maybe pulled over, any crimes he helped investigate in the past. I'm quite sure that he was violent and abusive towards those people as well. So I'm waiting to see if anything else comes out about that, and I definitely will keep you guys updated. But I do think it's very important to recognize that we do need a major reform in our police, and that they do need to be checked from time to time, because oftentimes, they get this God complex because they feel as if they're running society, and they feel as if they could treat people any kind of way. And so that's when I see that very extreme cases like this happen. And I have known other people in my life whose parent was a police officer, and they sometimes behaved in a way that was negative. Not everybody, of course, but it does happen where oftentimes they get, a little bit too big-headed for their own good, and they start treating those around them badly. So I do think that it's important to point out that we do need to check on our police force more, and they do need to have some sort of mental health checks, because obviously something is very wrong with you if you are willing to hurt your child in this way. So I do feel like we need to check the police more, just to help everybody out, not just in Thomas's case, but with the people that they apprehend, with their family, everybody that they come into encounter with. So the couple had many security cameras throughout the home. They claimed that they used this camera system to watch the children throughout the house. Of course, they had 6 kids living there. They were all fairly young, so that is a lot of children to look after. And all of the cameras were labeled as like this child's room, that child's room, but the one in the garage was labeled as like the boys' room. And so that just seems very odd. Why would you label the garage as the boys' room? And this security cam system was very high tech. It was a very expensive one, I'm assuming, because it recorded not only audio but visual, and a lot of them also only like record footage. You can't hear anything. So they had like a very good security cam system, and the police were able to uncover some very important footage, which Michael and Angela very much tried to stop the police from being able to recover. Police asked Michael to check the footage to see if there was any abuse going on in the home, as they were both suspects at this point. Michael willingly handed over the password, but when they signed into the system, someone signed in at the same time and deleted all of the videos and changed the password to get into the program. But one audio recording was able to be recovered from the morning of Thomas's death. One of the other children in the home asked Angela why Thomas could not walk. Angela answered and said that Thomas was hypothermic. She explained that when you are exposed to cold water, you are then freezing and you get hypothermia, which is why he cannot walk. Michael's voice is then heard on the audio, and he states that Thomas kept face palming on the concrete, and Angela said, "You know why he is falling." Michael then says, so emotionless and careless, that Thomas keeps falling because he's cold. Boo, expletive, who? Angela then asks Michael what he is doing, and he responds that he is expletive suffocating him, and Angela tells him to get his hands off his mouth because there are people watching. There was also a short video recovered that shows Thomas and his 10-year-old brother Andrew sleeping in the garage 2 days before Thomas's death. They have no blankets or warm clothing on, and the garage was below freezing that night. Now let's talk about Thomas's mother. Her name is Justania Zubko Valva. I'm totally pronouncing that wrong, I know I am. She is in her late 30s, and at this point, she has not seen her children in about 2 years. The first time she saw Thomas in this time was to identify his body at the morgue. Justania works in the prison system as a guard, and she claimed that Michael ruined her and her children's life. She said that during their custody battle, she often told the judge that he was dangerous and she didn't want her children to live with him. But Michael, according to her, made all kinds of false allegations against Justania and said that she was the dangerous parent. And of course, because Michael was a police officer, and like I said earlier, they always defend each other. And it seems like in these type of situations that the police officer always gets the right to the children, no matter how good of a mother that mom may be. And he was given full custody rights, and again, she didn't see her children for a very long time in person. And she was able to submit evidence to police later on, stating that her children on video recording that they have not eaten, and that Michael tells them that they are not allowed to tell their mother that they love her and that they miss her. And it's really sad to hear this recording. It does sound almost like slightly scripted, so it's really hard to believe, because she was given all kinds of accusations of things that she did as well. So it is really hard, and it's very frustrating to listen to these recordings and listen to what she has to say. But I do think that other information is definitely going to come out once the trial happens between these parents, because Jasania did make several police reports and several reports to CPS about Michael, and she did tell the judge during these custody battles, like I said, the things he has done that he doesn't let the children eat. But again, it seems as if there is like something not fully being told. I feel like all the truths haven't come out about the entire family. And of course, I don't want to blame her, because I do feel that she suffered a terrible tragedy. But I do think that there is more than meets the eye in this situation. And I do think that there may be some faults with both the parents. Maybe when they were together, she wasn't doing the right thing by the children either. I'm not quite sure. But I do feel that there is more that is going to come out once this trial is in full swing. The school Thomas and Andrew attended also made several reports to CPS because the boys would come to school crying, saying they were not allowed to eat. Thomas also came to school with a black eye and a bruise on his forehead because his father threw a backpack at his face. The list of complaints goes on and on. The boys had frostbite on their fingers, and they would arrive at school starving with urine-soaked clothing, and according to the school's nurse, Thomas hadn't gained any weight from one school year to the next, which is very uncommon for a boy at that age. CPS did try to make one visit at the home in May of 2019, but the family wasn't home, and there were never any follow-up visits after this. And I find it hard to not wonder if CPS just let this case go because Michael was a part of the NYPD, and if they just, believed he was a good parent despite all of these allegations being made against him. So I wonder if it's that CPS just didn't care, and when they looked up Michael and found out that he was a cop, if they let it go, or if it's a combination of both things. That's what I sort of believe. I do feel that our child protective services are not that great, unfortunately, and I do feel that they probably saw that Michael was a cop, and maybe they just felt that the mother was trying to get her kids taken away from him. And in 2017, a woman named Amanda Wildman made a complaint to the local police department on behalf of Thomas and his siblings. She was a nanny for the family for a short while, and she said that they treated the boys significantly worse than the girls, and that Michael and Angela were constantly screaming at the boys, and they would just sit there and take it. No home visits or any follow-up were made after this complaint. And it does appear that Angela's children were treated much better than Michael's children during this time, and I'm not really sure why that was, if it was Angela just being overly mean and Michael just agreed with it. But we often see in cases such as the Gannon Stouch case, and as well as the Kyron case from a few years ago, that the stepmother, or in this case Michael's girlfriend, but they would have been, like a stepmother type situation, we do often see that the stepmother does become very jealous when the father does have children, or when her boyfriend or new husband does have children, and we often see that the stepmother does become very violent in this case. So I'm wondering if that was the case, if she was just very jealous of Michael's children and he just piled on with it, and he must be very violent as well, so it was just a very bad situation for the boys in that house. So fast forward to current times. I'm recording this at the end of December 2021, and this case has been postponed to January of next year. So I will be definitely keeping an eye on this case. I've been reading a lot about it, and there's just so many, very sad details to do with this case. It's a very sad situation, and it's a shame that it had to come to this point. And I really wish that the people around Thomas would have helped him and, just not let him slip through the cracks like so many children do. So I hope that when this trial comes that Michael isn't just excused like unfortunately so many police are, and I'm hoping that he receives the full punishment, him and Angela, and I hope they go away for a very long time. I'm not really sure what the death penalty looks like in New York, how they go about it fully. I know it seems like nowadays a lot of states kind of turn away from it, so unfortunately that may potentially happen, but I do hope that they at least get put away for a very long time because they deserve the same exact treatment that they put their children through. They deserve to sit in a cold room all the time without any blankets or any warmth whatsoever. So I'm hoping that that happens for Thomas's sake because it's so sad what they put him through. And luckily the other children were put back with their other parents. Justania received the 2 boys that so luckily the other parents to these children were receiving custody. Justania, of course, got her other 2 boys, and Angela's ex got their children, and it appears that he was very happy to get his children. On the footage of him walking out of the court, he was very sad and crying, and you can tell that it really hurt him what happened, and he probably just felt very thankful that they weren't treating his kids that way, and it's very sad. So I'm hoping that these children are in a much better situation now and that they are being treated fairly, and we'll see exactly what happens to the custody of these children once the case starts, because I'm sure that will be discussed as well. So I will keep you guys updated on this case as we hear more information. The trial should be taking place this next month. I'm hoping it doesn't get pushed back anymore because of COVID, and I'm just really anxious to hear exactly what's going to happen, what sort of sentencing Michael and Angela will get, if they will be found guilty. Of course they should be, because we have recordings of them stating what they did to Thomas. So I'm hoping that they, receive life in prison and they are not able to get out. So we'll definitely keep you guys updated, and let me know if you guys like these type of videos where we talk about current cases and things that are currently going on instead of only like serial killers and things that happened in the past, because I do think it's important to have these conversations so we can be aware of situations. And for those of you who maybe like work at schools or work around children, to know the signs and know when a child is being abused and know who to contact so they can receive the help that they need. So I do think these types of cases are very important, and I do want to, raise awareness about these types of cases. So let me know if you guys like these down below, and let me know if there are any other cases you would like to cover. And otherwise, I hope you guys have a great end of your year. This week between Christmas and New Year's is always very lazy, very tired. It took a lot just to get me to sit down and record. I had to really talk myself into it. So I hope you guys are staying safe out there, stay healthy, and I hope you have a great new year. And I will see you all in 2022. Have a good one. Bye-bye.